Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day everyone. My name is Fatima Azara Panelungi from the Faculty of Law of the year 2020. And today I will give you our first material of civics education, which is national identity. I've been given this honor by our lecturer, Rahmatullah Jafar, soon to be professor. This is our lecturer, and he has given me the authority to give you guys the materials in English. I do hope that you understand, and I hope that you will enjoy this lesson because this is one of the funnest and most interesting lessons that you can get while doing your education in University of Hasanuddin. All right, let's start. So, through this lesson, you, as a future bachelor and professional, is hoped to be able to analyze the essential and urgency of a national identity as one of the determining factors of character and a nation's growth that is sourced from the values of Pancasila itself. So to complete this lesson, to complete this lesson goal, you will be hoped and expected to fully understand this lesson and be able to analyze the essential and our urgency to have a national identity. So here are some national identities that Indonesia as a nation holds. For example, as you see here, Pancasila, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, and of course, our national flag, Sang Merah Putih, or the red and white flag. The concept of Indonesia's national identity. Let's discuss. National identity is made out of two basis words, identity and national. Identity can be literally translated into individuality, identification, or a sort of specific character that is attached to an individual as a differentiating factor from other individuals. National, on the other hand, refers to a group of people that is bigger than groups based of similar race, religion, culture, language, etc. So, as you can see, national basically refers to a group of people that does not have any differentiating factor in religion, culture, language, or race. It is a group of people that is grouped under a single nation and identifies themselves as being from that nation. Identity is the identity or the identifying factors of that nation itself. Basically, that's the definition of national identity. In the context of civics education, however, national identity has a closer meaning to an individual identity, which is the characteristics, feelings, or beliefs towards nationality that differentiates Indonesia to other nations. So in context of civics education, or what we are currently learning, national identity is basically something that differentiates our nation, Indonesia, from any other nation in terms of characteristics, feelings, beliefs, and many more cultural and etc. that can differentiate Indonesia from other nations. The forms of Indonesia's national identity. Indonesia's national identity refers to several identities that has a form of nationality in nature, artificiality as a result of agreements and discussions, and secondary in nature as a result of existing national tribes in Indonesia. The forms of Indonesia's national identity has a form of togetherness or nationality in nature. It is artificial because it is a result of many years of discussions and agreements by our founding fathers. And it's secondary because Indonesia is a country or a nation that is resulted from several different tribe groups that already existed even before Indonesia existed, which is why our national identity as a nation, as Indonesia itself, is secondary to the cultural or tribes that already exist in Indonesia before our nation has become a nation itself or has declared independence. So what you guys need to highlight here is that the nature is nationality, it's artificial, and it's secondary. That's what you guys need to remember about the nature of Indonesia's national identity. Here are some forms of Indonesia's national identity. Some of it are Pancasila. We have also our Constitution, Undang-Undang Dasar Negara Republik Indonesia of 1945. The flag that is Sang Merah Putih, the red and white flag as stated in our Constitution, passage 35. There's also the language of Indonesia or Bahasa Indonesia as our national language stated in our Constitution, passage 36. And then we also have Bhinneka Tunggal Ika as our national logo or symbol stated in Article 36A of Constitution, our Constitution. And of course, our national anthem, Indonesia Raya, as stated in Article 36B of our Constitution. If you guys are having difficulties following what I'm trying to say, you can just see it over here from the Atribut Kenegaraan. These are our national identities and where you can find them. So, the historical source of Indonesia's national identity. Historically, Indonesia's national identity is identified when the Indonesian citizens realizes that their identity as a nation was under colonization by a foreign country in the year of 1908. This event is now known as the national awakening of our nation. Basically, what the meaning is, what I mean is that through history, we can see that Indonesia's national identity was first founded or first identified in the year of 1908. This is because at that time, our citizens, or that is made out of different cultural tribes, finally realizes that they are being colonized by a foreign power, by a foreign country. They are being slaved. They are being used. Their natural resources are being utilized behind their backs without their acknowledgement. And that is when they realizes that they need to fight against these foreign countries, which is why this is known as the national awakening, or the first time the Indonesian citizens realizes that they have to fight back the foreign power, the foreign country, and unite as a country of their own. So what you guys need to remember here is that our national identity was first established in 1908, and it is known as the National Awakening. So just highlight what is highlighted in blue and red right over there. So, the sociological source of Indonesia's national identity. Sociologically, national identity is formed in the process of interaction, communication, and cultural contact that happen naturally, whether it be from the long journey to Indonesia's independence or through the intensive formation after our independence. So, sociologically, national identity can be formed through interaction, communication, and cultural contact. Now, these three, you need to highlight this, guys: interaction, communication, and cultural contact. While these three is formed because of two possible things. One is from the unification out of the long journey to our independence, as stated right over here, if you guys are having difficulties following me. Two, maybe it's because after our independence, there are intensive trainings to be able to unite under the same logo, under the same national identity, and under the same name, that is Indonesia. Either way, because of these two reasons, we are able to form national identity. This is according to the sociological theory. So what you guys need to highlight is the interaction, communication, and cultural contact happens because either long journey of Indonesia's independence or intensive formation after independence. The political source of Indonesia's national identity. Politically, Indonesia's national identity became the differentiating factor or identification of the nation itself. Some of our national identities include Sang Merah Putih, our national flag, or the Indonesian red and white flag, Indonesian as our national language or Bahasa Indonesia, Garuda Pancasila as our national symbol, and Indonesia Raya as our national anthem. So, politically, national identity can be seen as something that differentiates a nation from other nation. It's something that uniquely only belongs to that nation. Now, these are some forms of Indonesia's national identity that does not exist in other nations, that is uniquely only existing in Indonesia. The essential and urgency of Indonesia's national identity. The genius inheritance that is priceless in nature, given to us by our founding fathers, is called Pancasila. Pancasila, as a national identity, is not only physical in nature, but is also a symbol of psychological national identity, or non-physical in nature. It's basically a reflection of character and behaviors that is held by an Indonesian citizens that is different from other nations. So what I'm trying to say is Pancasila is something that is uniquely owned by Indonesia, which is why it is called one of our national identities. It's basically a reflection of characters and behaviors that an Indonesian citizen will have. What you guys need to highlight here, or what you guys need to remember carefully, is that it is given to us, Pancasila is given to us by our founding fathers. It is called an inheritance or keturunan by our founding fathers. And it is a reflection of character and behavior of an Indonesian citizen. Highlight those words and remember them carefully. National identity is extremely important to Indonesians because of a few reasons. Indonesians can be differentiated and at the same time identified by other nations. 2, national identity to a nation is extremely important for the survival of the nation itself because it has the power to unite the nations. And 3, national identity is important to the authority of Indonesia as a nation. What I mean here is that Indonesians can be differentiated and identified, as I've mentioned countless times before. National identity's very purpose is that so a nation can be differentiated and identified by other nations and acknowledged by other nations. Another word for identified. National identity is important for the unification of a nation, which means that the nation itself can finally be acknowledged their sovereignty or authority by other nations, and which is why it is important for Indonesia, especially after our independence. Our sovereignty or our authority needs to be acknowledged by other nations, which is why national identity is very, very important. The dynamics and challenges of Indonesia's national identity. As Yumardi Azra states that currently, Pancasila is very difficult and is marginalized in every aspect of Indonesian citizens because the existing of these following things. 1 is that Pancasila is now made as a political vehicle. 2, the existence of liberalism politics that is more and more growing rapidly with each generation. And 3, the birth of decentralization or regional autonomy. These are some challenges that currently Pancasila faces. I want you guys to pay close attention and research more about these challenges because this is very important, and these are some of the things that is expected for us as somebody who is young, who has many ideas to be able to overcome, so that we can make sure Pancasila has its purpose and Pancasila becomes something that is very important in our nation, that is very strong and will never be threatened by any outside or inside threats. So pay very attention to these aspects: political vehicle, liberalism politics, and decentralization or regional autonomy. So thank you very much for watching this material. I hope you guys understand about this material. If you don't, then you can of course contact our lecturers and they will help you with any questions that you have. If you can also just find my contact. I will try and help as much as I can. So thank you very much. Once again, my name is Fatima Azhara Palerungi from the Faculty of Law, signing off. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.